Knew I had to come do this one. Just an absolute bitch smack today, and it was to the point where after the second touchdown, after the interception, and it was just a microcosm of everything that's wrong with this team from a roster construction standpoint. It's the same mistakes. It's the same people making the same mistakes. It's the same deficiencies over and over again. Okay, Indy comes out, drives down the field, scores a touchdown. Okay, fair play. They did it. You're on offense. You're driving. You get into a 3rd and 3. There it is. The Cody Ford penalty. He doesn't know the snap count. He moves. The next one, you're in your 3rd and 8. Hold it, and that was it. Next play, 3rd and 3rd and 18. Josh forces a ball, interception, short field, game over. No. I'm not breaking nothing. I'm not smashing nothing because, again, I saw this game before. I saw this game in 2017 at home to a dome team on the road, the Saints. Drew Brees didn't have to do anything special. They ran for almost 300 yards and 6 touchdowns. And after that, it's just and then you flip it on the other side too. You saw that game today. You saw that game that Carson Wentz got from Jonathan Taylor. Now, Jonathan Taylor's a special running back. Colts have 3 first-round picks on their offensive line. Bills have none. Let's just start there. The Jonas Gray game, the LeGarrette Blount game in the rain in 2000 what? I forget, 13 against the Patriots. I can go on. Josh Allen does not get that game from the Bills running game. Josh Allen does not get that running. Josh Allen has never gotten that game that Carson Wentz got. Never. He has not gotten it once. You know what? Today, we're up against it. Little tough sledding. It's raining. Let's just buckle down, put the big boy pads on, and go. Move the pile a little bit. He never gets that game, ever. And he wasn't good today either. But he had some drops. Knox dropped a couple. Beasley dropped one. The interception was bad. He's trying to force things. But like I said, he does not get that game. Moss, again, Eric, he is running in quicksand. You mean to tell me 2 things? Bobby Johnson needs to be done as Bill's offensive line coach after this year. He needs to be done. Done. Over and out. End of story. Not one. This will really blow your doors off. Really. Not one offensive lineman since he's gotten here in 2019 has gotten better. Not one. It took a rookie 3rd-round pick from the FCS who didn't play at all last year to come in and just say, I'm better than all of these. Watch. How much coaching did Bobby Johnson help that kid get better? Or was it fucking Joe Staley working with that kid all of last year? You know what? My money's on Joe Staley. He should be done as Bill. This offensive line gets no push. No push. It was missing 4. You know what? I'm going to say 4. 4 of its most physical players were not on the field today. Spencer Brown, everybody's going to say it, and they're going to be like, who are the other 2? John Feliciano, obviously star, and we're forgetting Justin Zimmer. There's a reason a guy like Horrible Harry gets inactivated for a guy who's been on 7 different teams. The long run that really broke the game open. Harrison Phillips has Jonathan Taylor and totally whiffs on the tackle. Totally whiffs. I'm pissed off at both lines of scrimmage. No pass rush. Horrible penalty. You can't do that as a veteran. Mario Addison. This is going to be my long-winded point. You draft 3 defensive linemen in your top 2 rounds in the last 3 years. What have Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison done for you to keep playing them? What? Nothing. Jerry had Wentz dead to rights and fell for that holding of the ball stuff. He slowed down and Wentz was able to get rid of it. He went low on knowing this league. Addison goes low. I felt like he was pushed, but still. Has Wentz dead to rights. He's bottled up, lets him bounce right off and get out of there. I forget the other penalty that nullified Ed Oliver's only sack of the year. First sack of the year. Other than that, he's been playing pretty well. And of course, it missed Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, that's obvious. And our best running back, but we don't have our best 2 offensive linemen on the field, and that's startled. That is so startling to me. That is as startling to me as ever. That our 2 best offensive linemen are those 2 guys, and you know what? You look at the teams around the league. You got to start investing in the first round in offensive linemen. And I'm not saying you can't find good ones, because Bean traded away a good one. And Wyatt Teller, he traded away a good one in Wyatt Teller. The tackling was shit. I think he's got the Bills left tackle for the next 15 years in Spencer Brown. That's how fucking good he is. That's why I stand for him on Twitter. He's that fucking good. And look at the difference he makes. Are not also are physical, the only players that we have that have attitude. We don't have where's the attitude? Where's the point where, you know what, we're getting bitch smacked all over the field. When is somebody going to just pull their fucking pants up and do something about it? It's just like they accepted it. That kind of loss today is the worst fucking, I hate that loss where you just get boat raced on the ground. Old school, we're just going to slam the fucking shit out of you. It was Toronto. Remember, there was a game in 2009. Bills versus Toronto. Fucking Bills versus Jets. Thomas Jones just went ape shit. I don't think 200 yards. Sean Green. It was a night game too. It was terrible. Terrible fucking game. Hapless. You're just accepting of the fucking defeat. Oh, God. Just an absolute fucking terrible, terrible display. Terrible display. I mean, I'm not at a loss for words, but and you know what sucks is you go down 14, you get a little hope when they get a touchdown to 17-7. And then McKenzie fumbles that, and then the first play, the second he puts the ball on the ground, where he puts the ball on the ground, and then Jonathan Taylor is going to punch it in. It's just like the double dip is done at that point. It's over. You just wasted it away. That's just you knew what they were going to do, and they still went out and did it. Nothing special, no X's and O's. You knew what they were going to do, and they still went out and did it. I'm not going to get on the coach couldn't have done anything. He could have screamed. He could have yelled. He could have I've seen him do that. And it would have made no difference the way they were getting run over today. Not one whatsoever. None. Nope. It was just a disgusting. Oh, well, Mahomes just threw a pick. It was just effortless, gutless. anytime you felt like they could get off the field. And boy, there's two things this team is good at. They're good at two things. Highly consistent. It doesn't matter whether they win or they lose. Here you go. They haven't won 2 straight games in what? The last 6? They're excellently inconsistent. That's number one. Number two, they have mastered the art of the timely penalty. If you think you're going to get a good play on either side of the ball, whether it's a stop on third down, a big pass breakup to create a down and distance situation, you pick up a first down on offense, you're in an advantageous situation on the field, you are going to get the most timely penalty in the world courtesy of this team. Whether it's a hold, pass interference, whatever, you're going to get it. On paper, you would think they would have had over 100 yards in penalties. Nope, it's the times they get them. It's the fucking times they get them. And it was just the same mistakes made by the same fucking people over and over again. And you knew Jonathan Taylor was just going to run right at you all game long, and you had nothing for it. That dream of Harrison Phillips becoming Kyle Williams 2.0, they could cut him tomorrow. Can't tell you how many times I've seen him get knocked back for a defensive lineman to get knocked back 2-3 yards. That is staggering. That guy has a wrestling background. My fucking cat could have put up a better effort than he did on the interior, and he played a lot today. A lot. And I'm telling you, Chris, the second he made that penalty, I'm just like, there it is. They're not going to score on this drive. You know what? I'll just accept the field flipper at this point. And then they got the penalty right after that on a hold, and I'm like, there it is. But as long view, Bobby Johnson does not need to be the offensive line coach anymore. I have not seen one offensive lineman develop under him in 3 years. It took a 3rd-round pick from an FCS school who didn't play football last year to come in and say, I am better than every lineman you've had under your belt for 3 years or 2 years, by far, to the point I can change the entire offense. And has he not? Has he not? Now, that's a good thing when he gets back on the field, but he's not on the field. And that's an indictment of Bobby Johnson. It's an indictment. We don't have a running back like Jonathan Taylor, partly because of the offensive line, and partly it looks like Zach Moss is running in quicksand, like literally running in quicksand. I mean, Singletary makes a few. It just, everything looks hard. I'm telling you, Jonathan Taylor is good. Even from the TV view, the gaps, the holes he had to run into were just cavernous holes. Cavernous. I saw one in the B gap in between the tackle and guard on it was like a 15-yard play. It put the Colts inside of inside the red zone. I think it was like on the first or second touchdown drive. I think it was the first one because the touchdown catch was a little bit longer. It was just, my God, any one of us could have gained 5, and we're 5 yards, which is a good NFL run on that. Any one of us. Of course, a guy like him gained like 15 plus. 7 games left, and you get your teeth kicked in like that. I don't want to hear these come. Another thing too, it's just, okay, let's just these consolation prizes, these silver linings, these little things they want. No, I don't care about players only meetings. I don't care about wake up calls. I don't care about flushing it. The only thing that got flushed today was the Bills. That's it. So let's just stop there. Like, you know what? When you play. When you play, who you play, and fucking win. May? June? I don't want to hear this shit about they're just, and it's happened multiple times this year. You know what they have a classic case of right here? A classic case. Yeah, I'm going to touch on that too, Eric. I'm going to touch that on that too. because Breida does do something special. He's fast. He's fast. The other two, I just they catch okay sometimes. Moss blocks well on third down. But outside of that, I mean, nothing. Nothing. Singletary has 5 fucking fumbles this year. Hasn't lost one, amazingly. But how does a part-time running back have 5 fumbles? He should be inactive. Sorry. Should not be on the field. Zach Moss does nothing. Looks like he's running in quicksand. You know what you do? You put their asses on the inactive list and you bring up Antonio Williams from the practice squad. That's what you do. They're excellent at beating themselves, Eric. Excellent. You know what? I'm not concerned. You know what? I know what this team is right now, and it reminds me of a team that became known as the bickering Bills. And I'm not saying they're going to be bickering because that was a team of magnanimous egos. I don't see big egos on this team, like Bruce Smith, like Jim Kelly, like Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed. Those are tumultuous personalities, larger than life. What this team is, though, it's got a syndrome. It's got a disease. It's got a we just got to show up syndrome. That's what it has. It plays like it. We got to show up and we're going to win. That's it. Roll out the balls. We're winning. Nope. Not the way it goes. Not happening. You don't, nope. You don't get extra points for showing up. It's not a quiz where, oh, you know what? You get extra credit today because you were early or you're in attendance or you're here for the quiz. Kids that weren't here for the quiz don't get it. Nah, nope. They're fucking. They have a disease of we just gotta show up syndrome. That's what they have. Period. They look at the inconsistency. 1 week, boom, blow people out. Next week, can't score a touchdown against the Jaguars. Show up the next week, destroy the Jets. Show up this week at home, get boat raced, ran over like a fucking children against the Colts. A 5-5 team. Carson Wentz had to do nothing today. The passes he got early, he hit. And when they put him under duress and made him move around, he almost made a few mistakes. He got out on the right up the middle and ran. And this offense, without its 2 best offensive linemen, it just doesn't look like it has an identity. Do we want to be a shotgun, wing it around the yard team? Do we want to be an under center, roll out boots, hand it off, like they don't like last week? I saw creativity, I saw execution. Granted, it had Spencer Brown, but this week, it's hard to tell what they were going to do because they got down so quick. But after that, it just looked like they were just trying to score 14, 15, 21 points on one play. And you can't do that. There's no 21-point play in football. Sorry, I've just been going off on tangents. But there's just players that I'm done with on this team. And I think they're done too after this year. But I just don't need to see them play no more. I don't need to see Harrison Phillips play. I don't need to see Cody Ford play. I don't need to see Zach Moss play. I'm damn near at the point where I don't need to see Singletary play. I don't need to see him play. Does nothing. Nothing. I don't need to see Mario Addison play. I don't need to see Jerry Hughes play. Thank you for services rendered. You've been great soldiers. You've mentored the young group. Epinesa, Basham, Obata, Ruseo, your show, guys. Get on the edge and go. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? What'd you draft them for? Why? What are they learning behind these guys? How to get stupid penalties? How to not wrap up the quarterback and not get a sack? Sorry. Old players are old for a reason. Right? Like, come on. It's time to fucking go. He played a lot on the inside, trying to get like mismatches on passing downs. I want to see him on the edge, rushing the passer, setting the edge in the run game. I don't need to see him on the interior where he's undersized. Let him try to do what he did in college. That's why everybody thought he was going to be the guy that produced over Ruseo. AJ Epinesa, by next gen stats, has one of the fastest get-offs of all the pass rushers in the NFL. Why isn't he the starting right defensive end? Why? Hughes, come on. Thank you, Jerry Hughes. But still, let's be real. He's playing out the string. Mario Addison, the same thing. I don't care what he did in Carolina. I don't care what history he has with Eric Washington. This is what happens when you have a friends with benefits situation. You get friends with benefits results, which generally usually equal not middling to average at best to not good. And he's fucking big. I saw him in the flesh myself at the T Motel. I saw both of them standing right next to each other. Long, big guys, man. Broad. Epinesa and Basham. I see him off and on the field every time, Hussein. Like he's doing the rotation thing and stuff like that. I'm like, let this guy just play. The interior of the defensive line needs to be. That's for sure. Some guy who does, he's an old guy, super nice. Does like a bunch of Bills draft spreadsheets on Twitter. Dean, he's an old guy. He's super nice, super engaging. This is not a thing against him. He's talking about the guy from the defensive tackle from Georgia. Look, that kid's not going to be around, man. That kid is Vita Vea 2.0. That kid is gone in the top fucking 15. Vita Vea was drafted 12th overall. Does the interior need they don't have a Jeffrey Simmons impact. They don't have that body type. They don't have that game record. He doesn't necessarily always need to get to the quarterback, but just blow people up, ruin the play, make the quarterback throw the ball away, make him make a bad decision, make him run for his life. We just never seem to get that unless we overload blitz or just a guy shoots a gap and he gets in, and then it's just nobody ever beats their man clean off the line and just wrecks the quarterback. We don't see that sack. We don't see that sack. Period. You know, sideline to sideline, up and down the field. They just got hammered. Geno Atkins I don't know what he is anymore, but it couldn't be any worse than what we saw from Phillips today. And like I said in the beginning of the game, in the beginning of the fucking video, there's a reason he was inactive for a guy that's been on 6-7 teams and had carved out a nice role with himself with the Bills dating back to last year. He was putting Phillips' ass on the inactive list. Justin Zimmer, he's not there. Then you couple that with Starr, you couple that with Tremaine, and you get what we saw today. Granted, Klein had a nice game last week. Different caliber of opponent, different caliber of offensive line, coaching, and that's what you get. The offense. Okay, they want to score, we score. Shoot yourself in the foot every fucking time. Dumb penalties, timely miscues, and you have the perfect recipe for an ass whipping. And that's what they got, an ass whooping. They deserved it. I posted on Twitter. They deserve it. I don't feel bad for them. They deserve what they got in Jacksonville. You go down and sleepwalk against that kind of team? How can I trust you? How can any fan have any faith or confidence? None. You're subject to an L every time you take the field now, to me. You get no benefit of the doubt. Nobody cared. Great, you had a nice season last year, just like the Bills did in 1988. They went to the AFC Championship. Nobody saw it coming. They lost to the Bengals, and then the next year they show up. Oh, we're just going to do this again, and they ended up being 9-7 and had to back into the playoffs. Then they lost in the wild card round in the Ronnie Harmon game. They walked through that game and had to just wing it all over the field, and the whole, K-gun and all that no huddle stuff happened. We're already in that, to me. It's terrible. It's like, you got to win these games. You know, like I'm not giving them any passes about flushing it, about opponent, about no. You're getting beat. You're getting beat. You know at 1 o'clock most times on Sunday or wherever you play at whatever time. I don't give a shit. You know where you're supposed to be. And the team just mentally in its losses and in some cases its wins. We can look at that Miami game now, and I said this, they can do this against an opponent like this. But if an opponent that has a pulse, that has good coaching, can play, shows up against that kind of Bills team, the score is going to be what we saw at the end of the half. Look back at the last few games. The last few games before this game, you know what happened? The Bills got a turnover that kept the opposing team from scoring before the half. They did it against the Dolphins with the fucked up snap that hit Gesicki. They did it in Jacksonville. They got a turnover on a fumble by Hyde. They did it last week when Hyde stripped the ball out from Corey Davis. They didn't get that this week. They're the ones who turned over the ball, and a solid team burned them bad for it. That double dip was done the second that ball hit the turf by McKenzie. It was over with. Over and out. End of fucking story. Oh, they were playing the same sport. They just weren't really fucking good at it. That's the issue. The issue was they weren't good at it. Dude, Francisco, don't pay attention to that douchebag. That douchebag is like anybody who thinks that guy's gonna change his tune, just leave him be. Like, let him. Don't give him no mind. People who like Bills fans are such easy marks. I'm sorry. Maybe you'll agree with me. Bills Twitter is so fickle, has such an inferiority complex, and just anytime one of these asshole blue checks snip at the Bills, they lose their shit and collectively jump in. Fuck them. Let them say what they're gonna say. Who cares if they give the Bills attention, negative, positive, or otherwise? Fuck them. Don't be so sensitive and so like reactionary with these assholes. You know they're douchebags. You know they're egocentrical like assholes. Fuck them. The only reason most of them are on TV is because of the ass they kissed or who they're related to or who liked them up the ladder. They have no talent. None. They have no talent. Even the players that are on TV. You're telling me they're good? No, they just happen to play in a league. They're not good on television. Booger McFarland's was a disaster. Jason Witten was a disaster. All the guys they put on there. Rodney Harrison sucks. Brewski sucks. None of them are hardly any good. You know, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows the whole Bills Mafia thing, and it's just they know, like, just attack them, and they're going to give you clicks. You're just generating traffic for them. You're just making them more popular. You're making Nick Wright have more traffic on his Twitter handle, which makes him more money because he generates bandwidth. And blue check marks, if they're somehow like they get plugged, that helps them. It was atrocious for everybody. Like the kicker missing 2 kicks, one was completely out of range. But you put yourself in those bad. I think it was penalties that backed them up. I believe it was penalties that had them so backed up. You just blew the field goal chance. Then there was the other one. It just, again, they stalled right outside the fringe area. They can't push the ball into the red zone. They got to settle for in that crazy ass weather. It was just. I knew he was going to miss it. Even the one before the half. I'm like, he's not making this. He's just not making this. He hit the fuck out of the ball. It wasn't for a lack of distance. He just didn't. He played the win wrong. That's all. And the next one, he overplayed it and wide left. Yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's an idiot. Like, all these guys are idiots. Collinsworth, he's good on TV. Please. Al Michaels has been on TV forever. He sucks. Frank Gifford was the only reason he was on TV. The only reason his wife was on TV was because of him. He was a New York Giants legend. Everybody liked him. He would get on TV and just butcher everybody's name. He called Thurman Thomas Thurman Munson. Deion Sanders was Deion Saunders. He was a catastrophe. And that's when Al Michaels was sort of with it. Is he good anymore? No. Dan Dierdorf was in the booth. He was a little okay, but he's gone now. Still, like these people are not good. Joe Buck's a baseball guy, for Christ's sake. Aikman's been concussed too many times. It's just a landing pad for guys with names to make money. It's just, long gone, Dick Enberg, long gone. Will McDonough, the original NFL insider. If there was an inside scoop before inside scoops became the thing, before there was Adam Schefter's, before there was all these assholes that poach people by saying they're insiders when they're just nothing but agent whores and disgruntled team employee whores, there was Will McDonough. All the owners liked him, told him everything. He basically had a fucking suite in the old Bill Sullivan's, I think it was Sullivan Stadium, the old Patriots. Like, he was just a legend up there. I'll read some of the comments here. Martin, I honestly haven't been looking right all years, but they look disjointed. They haven't played. I don't care how many points they've scored. They haven't played a complete offensive game all season. They're one-dimensional. They play a physical team. They get smacked around. Josh Allen, he starts to revert back to some of the, trying to force the ball because nothing else is clicking. They just don't have that game in them offensively. Our offense is not passing the ball right now. We need to establish a run game. We need to be more balanced. We need to work. Nope, because they get no movement on line of scrimmage. Their running backs don't hit the hole hard enough, and when they do, they seem like they're running in quicksand and just they're even with Jonathan, he has a very good offensive line. Brandon Smith, Glowinski, Chris Reed, fucking Ryan Kelly, first round pick, Eric Fisher, former first overall pick, Quentin Nelson, arguably the best guard in the league. 3 first-round picks. Doyle does well blocking. They don't have that. They don't have that unit. The 2 guys that could resemble that the closest aren't there. But Jonathan Taylor, you saw once he got to the second level, contact balance, breakaway speed, being able to run past or through a tackle or stiff arm. You saw the complete game past the second level. Bills running backs, when they get to the second level, don't have any of that. They don't have any of that. None. And I'm not sitting here advocating for a running back, but they don't get any of that from their running backs because they don't have it. And so that's more of a long view comment of what Brandon Beane's going to have to do this offseason. But in terms of this season, with 7 more games to go, sorry, Singletary and Moss have to sit down, and Breida and Antonio Williams need to play. If you get Feliciano and Brown back in the lineup, that's your best offensive line combination. Sans injury, sans any more other C19 shit, and then you go from there. But outside of that, that's the best they're going to do this season. That's the best they're going to do. Bobby Johnson, to me, I'm not going to fire him right now. No point. But I tell Ryan Wendell, who's the assistant offensive line coach, you know what, dude? You're it. You're their manier. You're the guy who's talking to them. You're the one running their drills and their practices. You from now on, not him. And I believe somebody has the title, or the last I looked, I don't know who it was. They gave somebody the ceremonial title of run game coordinator. I don't know who it was, but I'm going to look right now. And I don't know how much that matters or how much that doesn't. I don't know what they do because the results haven't shown me shit. But that guy doesn't get that title either. I don't care what it is or what. That does not matter to me anymore. You don't get if he's got some imprint on the run game or some sort of say somehow. Oh, it's game management. Let me see. Pass game. Okay, it's just a passing game coordinator. My apologies. My apologies. But even the run calls today, outside of the one Breida run, were not good. Has to be on an offensive lineman of any kind, Trevor. I don't care. Any kind. You take the best offensive lineman there is. I don't give a fuck if he plays left tackle. I don't care if he's a center. I don't care if he's a guard. History lesson, just like the New Orleans team. Mike Ramczyk, Carlos Ruiz, Artis P. He's like a third. I think he's a third round pick, but he's basically like our Spencer Brown. And now he's got a big resume, Teron Armstrong. So he's a Armstead. He's a really good player with a resume. Nobody outside of Spencer Brown, to me, has a safe place. You move. You know what? When the Bills figured out what they had, and I remember midway through the 06 season, wasn't a successful season, right? Wasn't a successful season. It wasn't. They didn't make the playoffs. Their offensive line was in a bit of shambles, but they did something that made a difference. If you watch that season, you remember that season? All of a sudden, they said, you know what? That's our best offensive lineman. We're going to move him to left tackle. You know who it was? Jason Peters. The offense started playing better. The run game started playing better. You do the same thing. You do the same thing this year. Deion Dawkins has not shown me that he's a franchise left tackle. He gets paid like a solid offensive lineman, but he's not a franchise left tackle. Not at all. And I don't think it's a question of being less aggressive. They're not executing at the same level, Eric. They're just not executing at the same level. They're just not. And the offensive line play, sans Spencer Brown, has regressed. The play calling is 13 cut run calls today. 13 runs. Most of those were on the second drive of the second half that ended in, I forget, in the missed field goal. Just terrible. No rhythm, no consistency. Just we get down by a few scores and that's it. Game over. Can't stop them. And when we do stop them, we're gonna get a penalty that's gonna extend the drive. And then you become demoralized and deflated. And then Jonathan Taylor's running downhill again. And then we just see more of what we saw today, where they're just getting run over. But again, Longview, the Bills do not have that game offensively. They don't. They have, under Josh Allen's tenure as the starting quarterback, they have not had that game. They don't have it. They don't get any game like that where, you know what, he's not on it. Let's turn to our run game, or just that's the goal to begin with from the get-go. He's their best running back. He didn't particularly run a lot today either. He had the one run, and then that was it. It was just like they shut it down. Not only early leads or just jump. We need an opponent to just play stupid. That's what we need. Let's be honest. Like the Dolphins Gesicki hike was just stupid. It's just like they just shot themselves in the foot. Corey Davis trying to fight for extra yards and get, it's just stupid. Staying up, where are you going to go? You're surrounded by 4 Bills. The Carlos Hyde, that happens. Guys fumble. I'll give them that, but still, they feasted a lot on just dumb mistakes. And today, the Bills were just dumb. They were just dumb. The interceptions could have been avoided. Trying to force balls into tight windows or just getting aggravated. Nothing's clicking, so you're trying to force passes. Isaiah Rodgers had another one too. There could have been 3 interceptions today. It was right on his hands. Right on his hands. But again, like I've cited other good quarterbacks. Brady, I've remembered multiple games. There was a game in 2014. I remember it very, very well. Bills know it as the Brandon Bolden game. Nothing's really clicking for the Patriots in the pass game. I don't know quite what the score was. And all of a sudden, you know what? They were just like, fuck it, we're going to run the ball. And all they did was hand the ball off to Stephen Ridley and Brandon Bolden, and they just destroyed the Bills on the ground. And you know what Belichick says after the game? Well, they had the little people in. They had the little people in, so we just ran at them. And that's with Brady. Bills don't get that game. They don't get the little people game. They don't get the LeGarrette Blount game in the rain. They don't get the Jonas Gray game where, you know what? We're down, shit's not clicking. There was another game Sunday night, Tom Brady versus the Patriots. It was Tom Brady, Peyton Manning in New England. Broncos go up big. They're up by big. All of a sudden, Patriots just start running the ball. They just start running it. Broncos can't stop them. Broncos can't stop them. Patriots end up pulling it out and winning. I remember that game very, very well. I don't know if it would have. It wasn't that close. It was 3rd and 3, but I think they would have had they would have had it inside the red zone, Trevor. They would have had it on the red zone, that's for sure. It's just, let me read some of the comments here. On a good note, thank God for the stream after the games. I appreciate it, McBrizzle. It's disgusting, man. I knew I never shirk away from doing these. I especially had to do it. I couldn't be emotional today. And throw anything or break anything because it was like, why would I give my emotions and break something for that? Why would I do that? Drop passes, not get any yards after contact. They get down. They're tackled. The first man gets to them. They're down. Eric touched on it. Zach Moss has done. He had a few good runs early in the season. Has done nothing to merit continuously being put on the field. Singletary had the one nice run against Miami, but he's 5 fumbles for a rotational running back is completely unacceptable. He's done nothing to say, put me back on the field. One of them or both of them needs to be inactive next week. This week, every weekend's on Saturday. This week on Thursday, one of them needs to be inactive. Period. It just, I don't even have a headache. I don't even want to throw up. I'm numb. Because when I'm watching the game, guys, I'm telling you, the Saints game from 2017 is playing in my head. It was just playing. It was just them running, fucking boom, Ivor. It was just a fucking, it was a rookie, Alvin Kamara. No dynamic ability. And I'm not saying draft a running back in the 3rd round. I'm not saying, do some stupid shit like that. I'm not even saying, but have a running back that's got something dynamic about him. At least let him be good in the pass game. At least let him be good, in 3rd down, or just be a really hard, tough runner. Maybe he doesn't necessarily catch the ball very well, but he runs hard between the tackles, runs through into contact, over contact. We don't have any of that right now. And I'll say just let's see what Antonio Williams has. Jason, we're asking the same thing here. Now he's got to play more, and there's no other way to put it. He's got to play more, and there's he's got to play a lot. Period. I don't want to see him in. You know what? I know you're going to give your back a rest here or there, but I'm also advocating for their practice squad running back Antonio Williams to play too, because I'm done with these two. And then they have obviously they have to get the offensive line sorted out. They need Spencer Brown back, and they need John Feliciano back. Yeah, they could have used them. Seriously, I didn't think about that too much during the game, but my God, I think they could have done better today. They really could have at 35, 6, 7, 8 years old. Carlos Williams was a big running back, and he was excellent. JD, he was excellent, but the guy got out of the smoked so much weed and ate so much junk, he gained like 80, 50, 60 pounds and was out of the league in an off season. Guy could have been special, could have been a special player, caught the ball extremely well too. If there was a player I could put on this team from the past, it'd be him. With his head on straight, with this coaching staff and this infrastructure that they have, I would be him. But that offensive line was much better. It was better. I mean, especially with the two guys at center, Eric Wood and Richie Incognito. They were just a better run blocking group. I don't think Wade could do any. Wade would be on the field if he could be on the field. Any team could pick him up. Any team could have taken him, and they didn't. He was a nice guy to have, like a nice story. He had the one run. I mean, great, but it was against guys who aren't even in the league right now, man. I just can't with the Christian Wade stuff. Christian Wade to me is like Damian Lewis. Okay, nice preseason. Derek Rogers, remember that wide receiver? These preseason heroes that just don't matter. I want to see Antonio Williams and Breida play more. It was a wet ball out there, Bonzolo. They're trying to make plays. I mean, a couple of those passes he should have caught, definitely. He even changed his gloves. He had red gloves on, and at the end, he was wearing white gloves. So I don't know, man. It's just a terrible, Let's say I'm more frustrated than mad because it's like, oh, if they lose a game, great. You know what? If they compete, great. I want to not say great. If they lose a game where they compete, they show heart, they show effort, they don't get run over. If they lose the Tennessee game over again, you know what? Those things happen. Josh slipped. They were driving down to win the game. But this game, there was none of that because the game was over in the first quarter. It was over. Are they even a playoff team right now? That's the question. Are they a playoff team right now? Fuck the wild card. Don't make me go Jim Mora playoffs. You gotta win games to get to the playoffs. This team is 1-1. That's all they are. They win one nice, they lose a stinker. Win one okay, they lose a stinker. That's what they're consistently good at. They open the season with a stinker. Mad, disappointed. I'm just frustrated because I just don't like this inconsistent, like you never know what you're gonna get, and then to know what the other team is gonna do. It's like the Colts did it on steroids. That's what I think football is beautiful. Everybody thinks that there's this magic X and O play that nobody's ever. They ran a few nice misdirection runs that really caught the Bills over pursuing. There was a few to Hines that were really nice. They even got one to the wide receiver. But outside of that, they just went big on big and just pushed the Bills around, blew them off the ball. And you have a really talented running back who just ran for fun. And he did. I don't play fantasy football, but whoever played Jonathan Taylor, you either had a really great day or you just got killed if you were playing against them. It's just sick that the opportunities that this team has squandered on the field. It's sick. It just didn't show up today. How do you not show up? You're on a short week. You're at home. This is the second time you've been at home since Halloween. Second time in 2 months. That's it. You've only been at home for 2 months, and that's what you put out there. It's like we're finally in our own beds. We don't have to leave, and that's how they played. It was terrible. It's terrible. I don't know at what point you guys thought that they were gonna just completely done. For me, I had a really bad feeling after the first Allen interception where, it was, preceding those 2 offensive line penalties, and the Colts just go down and score, and you're already down 14-0. I got a little optimistic when the Bills went down and scored after that. I was like, okay, fine. They could have got off the field before that, but penalties extended the Colts drive. And I'm like, it's going to be one of those games. And then they kick the Bills the ball, and McKenzie puts it on the turf, and it's just like, there it is, game over. There it is. It's just first and goal at the 2 with that offense. Good fucking night. Good night. Double dip over. I'm just yeah, same with me, Doug. Same with me. It was the McKenzie fumble because I knew they were punching it in. I knew they were punching it in. But you know what? That's also short yardage situations. The Colts, excellent on first down. They didn't face many when they did face third and longs, the Bills either gave them a first down with a penalty, or the Bills got off the field a couple of times. The only few times they did. 8 for 12 on third down. 8 for 12. 8 for 12. But when the Bills get in those situations, they either commit a penalty with a hold or a false start, or they just can't move the pile and get those yards. They just can't. You just can't. It's like, I hate that down for the Bills. When they're in 3rd and 1, in 3rd and 2, or 3rd and 2 and medium, I'm like, they can't move the ball like this. They can't move the ball like this. They're just either just not built for it. They don't have the mentality. And when they're missing Feliciano and Spencer Brown, it's really fucking ugly. Really ugly. But I don't need to see the same people on both sides of the ball making the same mistakes repeatedly. I don't need to see it. Cody Ford, I don't need to see anymore. Let Jamil Douglas play. I don't care. How much worse could it be? You know the saying, it could always get worse? Well, it's worse. They just got beat at home 41-15. Friends and family touchdown at the end to Stephon Diggs to make it look a little better. Just stop with everything, Damager. Like everything to me, it's like they're not in any. They get no more. They get no benefit of the doubt from me. None. Everything is an L till proven otherwise. You're gonna win this game? Prove it to me. I don't trust you to win this game. I don't trust you to go out and win the game. I don't trust you to go out there and put up a yeoman's effort and keep it close and win, or just beat a team physically. I don't trust it. They just don't have it in them. They haven't proven it. You know what? Cody Ford and Phillip. It's the defensive line has its Cody Ford now. It has it. It's Harrison Phillips. Harrison Phillips is the defensive line's the version of offensive line's Cody Ford. That's who he is. Because there was one play I saw. It was a run play, obviously very successful, to Jonathan Harris. And I'm just going to repeat that over and over again. And I saw it. You can't miss 99. It's just like big 99. And I just see him doing like one of these numbers after he gets hit. And it was like, it wasn't Quentin Nelson, or it was Mark Glowinski or Chris Reed. One of their, if you stacked up their offensive linemen, their least talented or least known offensive lineman was one of those two. I think it was Reed. And I just see Harrison Phillips just like doing like, I just got hit. It was the reaction that if I got hit by like a 300+ pound dude, I'm going to go flying backwards. But the only difference is Harrison Phillips himself is a 300-pound dude. And he just got supposedly with a wrestling background that knows how to use leverage and manipulate somebody's weight. He just got fucking knocked off the ball like a child. Because he's too busy trying to get up the field to rush the passer. And they played to that too. They did it to the defensive ends. They did it on one a play to one of the tight ends. They sucked the tight end. They sucked the defensive lineman upfield, and they just got a cheap first down with a flick to Doyle, because the defensive lineman didn't stay home, didn't get his hands up. They let him just go right past. Just ran himself right out of the play. And then some of the plays that Mario Addison had were just Mind-numbing plays. Mind-numbing plays. Because that's a touchdown drive right there. Touchdown drive. Stupid. I'd give anything. You know what? I'd give anything for this team. I'd give anything for this team to have Richie Incognito, Carlos Williams, okay, and Pat Williams. How about that? Give me those three guys. Pat Williams, Carlos Williams, and Richie Incognito. Yep, his first sack got negated. I knew it was going to happen too. It was just like, I thought it was going to be offsetting penalties. But it was like both were on the Bills. I'm like, oh, great. I think that one was a hold on Teron Johnson. I just don't understand it. Especially, you know what? These services rendered playing time to me has got to stop. The heavy rotation, it's already a luxury carrying what 10 defensive linemen into the game, 10 defensive linemen into the game, and you're running out these two 35, 34, 35-year-old. You've drafted all these young guys. Let them play. The old guys haven't earned the right to stay on the field anymore. And I'm not saying the young guys have, but let's find out. What's so hard about that? What's so hard about letting the young horses run? You know, can we do that, please? Can we do that? Next Gen has Epinesa at the top 3 get-off times in the whole league. He just hasn't gotten home on a sack yet. I think he has half a sack, but still. Stop with this favors done in the past playing time. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of that shit. That's some place they got to change their thinking on. It really does. No, every time. Today, dude, I said, Trevor, every time they made a play, and every time I said it on Twitter, I'm like, this team is very consistent about the untimely penalty. It's very consistent about it. It has mastered the untimely penalty to a fucking, I've never seen a team like it. And it's offense and defense. It's not just the defense. It's the offense too. Make a play on offense, get a first down, holding penalty. Stay in an advantageous down and distance situation, up, false start on the offense, play dead. It just keeps on. It's just the same things, the same mistakes by the same people. I'll keep saying it over. The same deficiencies. Can't move a pile on 3rd and short. Can't get a running game going. The offense seems it can't function without Spencer Brown now, which is alarming. I mean, it's positive and alarming because he's such a young player. He's got such, I think, his potential. We don't even know what it is yet because but still, he's already our best lineman. It's not even close. It's not even close. It's disgusting. It's not consistent. It's very inconsistent. It's very inconsistent. I don't like the sharing. I'm like, you find a guy during the week who's playing the best in practice, who's got the most juice, and you go with him. That's it. The next guy is going to back him up. That's it. And to me, Moss and Singletary have not earned the right to be on the field. They haven't. They've not earned the right to be on the field. Breida, you're up. Antonio Williams, see what you got. Sorry. Done. 13 runs today, Frank. 13 runs. Their second best drive ended in a failed field goal, but it was the drive that I thought they should have had coming out of the half. You know what? They went out 3 and out, right off the rip, coming out of half, down 24-7. I'm like, you know what? They don't expect you to run. Start some running. Just remember what the Patriots did, down 28-3. They were running the ball, and everybody thought, why are they running the ball? They were just 5 yards, 6 yards. No, because they were backed up. They were like, you know what? We're bigger. We're more physical than Atlanta. We'll use our strength. We'll use our strength on them and just see what happens. They got a touchdown. Boom. Force Atlanta to punt. Boom. Got a field goal. I think they had the punt or they got a field goal or they got a turnover. And then next thing you know, it was 20 to 21 or 20-28, and it's like ball game on. The drops, Trevor, it wasn't even like, I can't even say it was like the Jacksonville game. The Jaguars didn't boat race the Bills on offense. They out-physicaled the Bills. What they did on defense. It's like the Colts are playing with a hobbled, absolutely hobbled Leonard today. Darius Leonard was hobbled. His ankle was taped up big. They had a big spat on it. And then I'm like, where's the jet sweep action to McKenzie? We saw it last week, scored a touchdown. We saw a reverse it's like all the creativity last week. Maybe it was there and we just didn't get to see it because of the score effect. But even it just nothing. It was absolute nothing. How do you not adjust? How do you not say, look, we're down for, let's just stick to the plan? And then once you go down 20, okay, when you're down 24-7, then you can't be so damn predictable. You cannot be so damn predictable. There was very little the Colts gave up 23 touchdown passes going into the season. 23. They had like the like 8th worst rushing pass defense in the league. I know you attack it, but still, don't you like you got to be more balanced. The game was going to get ugly in the second half because of the weather. You weren't going to be able to wing it around all over the place. You saw drops. You saw guys running shitty in the rain. You saw slips. Fucking, oh. I mean, the dink and dunk. I mean, there was a few dinks there, but they were dropped. I know one tried to dink one to Knox. It was a little short. It was like really short. It was I don't know if it was considered a drop, but there was like 3 to Singletary that he just dropped. I know he dropped the one right before the Trubisky interception. That's the one I put, Bills Mafia. I tweeted that over an hour ago. That same game. That same fucking game. The same exact game. They almost ran for 300 yards that day, and they ran for 6 touchdowns. 6. Unfucking believable. Unbelievable. And it just, we've seen no development in that area. None. That's one part of the McDermott era that I'm going to criticize and critique heavily till I see a change, is that this team offensively is not balanced. It has not been balanced. It's been heavy in one way or another because of where the team is at in a developmental standpoint. Now it's heavy pass because of just where the strength of the team lies. But in terms of how they play and the way they run a game, it's completely just disjointed. It's not rhythmic. It doesn't flow. It seems forced, and they're not good at it when they try. Sans when they have a few different linemen in the game. I want to see what Breida looks like. I want to see what Antonio Williams looked like when they have Brown and Feliciano on the offensive line. I'm done with I've seen 3 years of Devin Singletary. I think he's got one 100-yard game in his entire career. Moss is inconsistent. He doesn't do anything special except maybe run down inside the 10 a little bit because he knows the goal line is still there. And just it was a terrible game. Terrible game damager. You remember watching it. It was terrible. So I don't know who's with me on that, but I just don't want to see them play anymore. I don't want to see them play. I'm just curious to see what his best game was with the Bills. He's been with the Bills since 2019. He's been with the Bills since 2019. What's his best game? What's his best game this year? 82 yards against Miami. Most of that was on one carry. He had 79 against Houston in a 40-point romp. Okay. Friends and family yards against a team that just gave up. He's got one 100-yard game against Denver. He has his best game next best game 3 weeks later, 95 yards against Washington. He had an okay game against Baltimore in 19 too, where he had so all his best games came in his rookie year. Every game, like 4 best games in his rookie year. I think he even had his best receiving game too. No, that was last year against the Rams, but the next one was against Washington. So it's just, what are we doing here? Like, seriously, what are we doing? Like he doesn't produce at a high enough level for me to keep playing him. He just doesn't. He does not. That's the thing, Franklin. When this shit happens, we've seen it in the last 3 weeks. When the game gets hairy and ugly, he starts trying to score 14, 21 points on one play, and it's biting him. That interception was totally avoidable, and he's trying to pick up the first down. I'm not going to knock his aggressiveness because it's like the pass to Dawson Knox. A scared, skittish quarterback doesn't throw that pass. He's not going to do it. He's going to turn into Trent Edwards. I don't want to see Trent Edwards play quarterback. I don't want to see Tyrod Taylor play quarterback. I don't mind a quarterback who takes chances, but when you have a more balanced attack, or at least an attack that's varied, and the defense has to do a little bit of worrying about other things, or you're just not shooting yourself in the foot with offensive line penalties, then you don't have to make those passes. You don't have to try to pass the ball down the field. How many times has Allen made a play and it's like the offensive line backing up? It's like it's on cue. It's literally on cue that it's going to happen. There's no balance. There just isn't. And then the offensive line coach and the OC, I don't know there's a disconnect there. It's disjointed. I don't like it. I don't like it. And they're soft too, Johnny. They're soft. They play. I hate that. I hate to admit that because I don't like to admit that. But when they get punched in the mouth, they don't take it well. And it doesn't matter who it is. The Steelers grinding gears. They just punched the Bills, and the Bills couldn't take the punch. I don't want to say so much against the Titans because they were down there. Josh slipped, but the offensive linemen got blown out of there too. They got blown out. Dawkins and Feliciano got blown out of their gaps. Fucking the Jaguar game. They got punched by a shitty team and couldn't take it. Couldn't take it. They got punched by a solid team today and just got destroyed. I started the video with this, Johnny. Our nastiest, most physical players weren't on the field today. 4 of them. They weren't there. Our nastiest, meanest tone setters weren't there. Spencer Brown's the most obvious. Starr's the next. Feliciano, and then Justin Zimmer. They're not there. And then you couple that with no Tremaine Edmonds. So you got the middle of the defense on rundowns possibly not there. And then you just have our most physical, most intense offensive lineman not there. And you get shit on. And they just can't. They just can't play a dirty game. They can't play an ugly game. They don't know how to refine their footing when they can't be finesse. They just can't. It's just very, very irritating. And the flush it shit and the look ourselves in the mirror rhetoric and the, we're on to the next game, 24-hour rule. I get all that, but still, come on, man. This is a reoccurring theme. This is the same thing since week 1. This is the same thing. This is not different. It's the same exact fucking thing. It's like it's the penalties that they get are stupid penalties too. They're stupid penalties, totally avoidable. It's not like they're, bang bang penalties. They're just dumb. They're just totally avoidable penalties. I said it in the beginning, Trevor. They play like a team who thinks they just have to show up. That's who they play like to me. I've seen these types of teams before. We just have to show up. Over and out. We just have to show up. We're good enough just to show up. That's it. That's how they play. They don't play like, you know what? This is an NFL team. They got good players. We've got to match their physicality or exceed their physicality. Our manhood's going to be tested today. They just don't do it. They don't do it consistently enough. And that's on the players. The coaches can give them the best, but when it comes to units and body of work, and I start judging, it just the unit that's the most glaring to me, and the one that over the last few years has just not been good at a certain thing, and they're regressing at it. That's why I target Bobby Johnson. This offensive line is regressing. They're regressing. They're not getting better. Deion Dawkins was better in his rookie year. Deion Dawkins was better in 2018 under Juan Castillo. Okay. Mitch Morris was better in Kansas City. Okay. John Feliciano was a part-time offensive lineman with the Raiders. Okay. He's been okay with the Bills. Solid to okay. And outside of that, a rookie third-round pick from an FCS school who didn't play last year is our best offensive lineman. That tells you all you need to know about Bobby Johnson. That tells you all you need to know. Yeah, some Bills reporter yesterday was talking about wide receivers, and this was yesterday for the game, and I'm like, yeah, the Bills haven't drafted an offensive lineman in the first round since Eric Wood in 2009. Okay. That's what, 12, 13 years ago? It's time. It's time. Would you guys agree? It's time? Point blank, it's time. Because Josh is now doing some of the hero ball stuff, trying to force passes, much like Patrick Mahomes was doing early in the season, midway through the season, and he's getting picked off. And he's putting the ball in harm's way because he has to. Because nothing else is going right. And the defense, had a bad game. They got ran on. And this is a game you needed your offense maybe to keep up, and they weren't capable of doing it because of the play style. And then once you get into that second half, Eric was at the game. The rain, the winds, they weren't playing well in that. You got to construct the team to where you play. I think they've tried, but they failed in certain areas. The running backs that they've drafted they're not good. They're okay, not good. You could find better. Much better actually. And some of their offensive linemen have been misses. They made a mistake on Teller trading him. They made a mistake on Ford drafting him, but it looks like they found a diamond in Spencer Brown. Okay, so maybe you draw even there. Dawkins, his play has regressed in this year. It's regressed, and people say it was him being sick or whatever. It just has not been good or consistent. It hasn't. Well, to me, those aren't serious changes. Those are obvious changes. Those aren't serious, Frank. Those are obvious. One of those changes you could make during the season. You can play younger defensive linemen right now. I don't think they'll make a change at any coaching spots right now. I don't think they'll do that. That's for the off season. But they have to. What more do you need? The results are in. Evidence is in. The verdict's been read. I'm sorry. I don't need to see anymore. I don't need to see any more from some of these running backs. I don't need to see any more from some of these offensive linemen. Maybe you get some better offensive linemen. It makes these running backs a tick better, but they're not special. They're not special enough to hang on to. They're both drafted in the third round. You can easily replace these players. Sorry. It's always been a big games, damn Johnny. The analytics people are just They're numbers nerds who love their algorithms. They love their spreadsheets, and they found it into the game. They found some fancy idea people in some front offices that would pay them for their shit, and it's in now. It's a disease. You've seen what it's done to baseball. Look what analytics has done to baseball. I rest my case. We hear shit about launch angles and exit velocity. People always try to reinvent the wheel or be at the footstep of the vanguard of something. No, what's his hit rate with a full count, runners on base, late innings, how well does he move runners over, how many pitches or does he average during an at bats? Sorry, those have been around forever. You don't need analytics for certain shit. You really don't. And now they're just measuring the ball out of the pitcher's hands, and now it looks like every guy throws 100 miles an hour. Just to create the optic of guys just throwing. Everybody throws hard now. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. What's up, Jake? Our defense is solid when you put them against one team's best lines in the NFL, arguably the best running back. No, I said this before, Jake. It doesn't matter. It really matters. It doesn't matter, but it matters when you have the middle of your best run defense is not there. You don't have your Pro Bowl middle linebacker in Edmonds. You don't have Starr, and you don't have Justin Zimmer, and then it shows up and bites you. And the offensive line's play has just been it's just regressed so bad, and players have regressed, and Josh's mobility makes it look way better than they are, because they're not as good as the numbers bear out, because we have a mobile quarterback who scrambles, gets out, he bails them out a lot of times. He really does. He's top 3, top 5, Johnny. Top 3 or top 5. But again, he's a 6th overall pick for a reason. Eric, he's coming off an Achilles surgery, but Eric Fisher was a 1st overall pick in a bad draft, and he's played really, he's a really good player for a reason. He was on an offensive line that played the Bills in Buffalo last year for KC. They ran for 200 yards against the Bills defense in similar weather. I'm sure he thought about last year too in correlation to this game. It was at the point where I was like, you know what? This is how bad it got for me. I'm sitting there during the game, and it just hit me. I'm like, why isn't Bobby Hart at right tackle and Williams is at guard? Like, that way we just have one spot affected from last week, right? Granted, it was a fucking huge one in Spencer Brown, but it's just one spot. You bring Cody Ford in, and then you kick Darrell Williams out. And it's just like, we know what Cody Ford is going to do. He's going to have a monumental brain fart or just a whiff on a block, and it's just going to get fucking ugly, and he's going to destroy a drive. He did it. Opening drive, he did. He left nothing to the imagination. Frank, I that's when I said, and it's been brewing for me before this. Anybody who's talked to me on social media will say, like, I don't know why these young defensive linemen aren't playing. And then when you see Addison commit a terrible penalty that kept that drive alive after a stop on 3rd down, and then you see him just totally whiff on the sack. It could have been a sack there because Wentz just turtled up, and he realized Addison whiffed on him. He's like, oh shit, look at that. They were in cover 0. There was nobody in the middle of the field. They were in man. It was ridiculous. They need Brown back at right. They need Brown on that offensive line, Doug. They need Brown on that offensive line badly. He's the tone setter. He's the difference maker. I think Feliciano helps in that area, but Brown is the guy that we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure. It's just a stupid, shitty situation across the board. But he's the guy. What is that? The straw that stirs the drink. He's it. He's the guy. And I'm not saying that's good. I know it's bad, but to me, it's a long-term positive because if you want to extrapolate one, he's a third-round pick who's proven via his absence, not only while he plays, but in his absence, how important he is to the team. He needs to be the left tackle. He needs to be the left tackle at some point soon. Absolutely, unequivocally. I don't think it'll be this year. I will not be shocked if he enters camp as the left tackle. He's just that good. He changes everything on that line. Everything. You put your best player right there. The next best player goes in at center, unless it's Quentin Nelson or Zach Martin, which are rare. Those are rare guards. Dude, the last time this isn't going to happen because of the quarterback situation. And it was just the way the game played out. How do I feel like they're going to respond? I don't know. This team's inconsistent. How are they going to respond? They're inconsistent. I don't trust them at all. They had a bunch of built up credit from last year and somewhat the year before. It's gone now. It's gone. They're 6-4. They're second in the division. They're playing 1 week good to okay, the next week like shit regularly. It's not good. The Miami game was the same thing. They played a shit first half at home. Second time they've been at home since Halloween today, and they just vomit all over themselves. How do I feel? They're going to be on the road. I don't know, in New Orleans on a short week. Who knows? Anybody could win. I mean, shit. The Texans beat. We played that Texans team. Destroyed them. Granted, it was with Driscoll. Tyrod Taylor played today, but we know he's not special. They beat the Titans at home. Pretty easily. Titans made it okay. But that was it. Who can make sense out of anything? Seahawks. The Seahawks just lost to Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy led Arizona Cardinals team without DeAndre Hopkins and without Kyler Murray. Make that make sense. Yeah, weather. I mean, but still, Doug, that's why with this home field thing, it doesn't matter to me. Everybody made a big deal. I mean, for me personally, of course, I want to see our fan base get home playoff games as much as possible because they deserve it. But still, this team hasn't earned it. This team's got to go on the road. This team's got to go on the road and play playoff games now because they haven't earned it. They don't particularly play well at home. They don't play well in the elements. They just don't. They don't. And part of me is happy they're on a short week. The other part of me is like, how much worse can it get? It can get worse. It can always get worse. That's a tough Saints team. They can run the ball well. If Kamara plays and he's okay, I don't know. He didn't play this week. If Ingram gets rolling, it could be ugly. They're going to try to keep the ball out of Trevor Siemian's hands. They're not going to try to let him throw. There's no Michael Thomas anymore. There's no Jimmy Graham. There's none of those players for them. They have a solid defense. They have a real solid defense, actually. I think it's top 5. So it could get ugly. I don't drink at all, so I mean, yeah, Saints O-line is good. It's a good O-line. I know they don't have Artis Pate because he's out for the year. I know Ramczyk didn't play for them, and I know Armstead didn't play for them. Maybe those are injuries on a short week they can't get back from because they're not going to practice at all. I mean, they'll walk through this week. The Bills won't be in pads. They won't be doing any of that stuff. They'll just be they'll be at walkthrough. They'll walk through like twice. Tomorrow's Wednesday, basically on a regular week. They won't even talk. They'll just talk about I think they'll probably just talk about the Saints tomorrow. They'll put a cap on this game and they'll talk a bit about the Saints. Yeah. But they ran the ball well and they played defense, dude. That's what happens, Doug. Ran the ball, played defense on the road. Point blank. Tom, the mistakes, just physically just beating yourself and then physically getting beat at the line of scrimmage. And then you let Taylor get to the second level. And the Bills haven't had a running back like that. I don't know. I think maybe Carlos Williams was the closest thing that could be like that the Bills have had, because McCoy wasn't he wasn't a run through the tackles kind of guy. He was a make you miss in a phone booth kind of guy. But he wasn't a guy like this who could stiff arm you, run over you, through you, around you. He wasn't like this. Battering ram inside the 5, just you don't as short yardage. They don't make him like too much like that. Well, again, Johnny, 3 first-round picks. I know I tweeted that hours ago, dude. You're either trolling my timeline or you're trolling here. Or you're just as frustrated as I am. But you're probably frustrated as I am. I'll lean towards that one. But yeah, because that information isn't, it's not exclusive to me. Anybody could find that out. But yeah, three again. You gotta draft linemen. You gotta draft linemen, man. Bro. Yeah, they should have, Doug. They should have. Johnny, that was as a kid, right? I had just watched the 94 season. It was a terrible season. The Bills were 7-9, missed the playoffs. They weren't going back to the Super Bowl. Haven't been back since 93, right? And I was a little younger. I was a teenager, and I was like, well, how do these, I want to see how the players get to the NFL. Like, I've been watching the Bills for a little while now. Let me see how they get to the NFL. Like, I want to see where these players come from. I watch college football. I know they come from college, but I really want to follow this closely. So I bought my first draft guide. It was Arthon Football, and I know they needed linemen. I watched the season. John Davis was old. Kent Hall had a few good years left in him. Jerry Ostrowski didn't play that much that year. He was on the practice squad. Glenn Parker was there. Fina was there. So 9th overall pick. It was 15 minutes in between picks. It was forever. I remember sitting there watching that process for the first time. First draft I ever watched, Bills draft Reuben Brown. And I was happy. I got up and left. I was very happy. They got an offensive lineman that, from everything I read in these 2 books I got, the other one was called Liddy's Football and the other one was called Arthon Football, draft guides. They were $4.99 at the Publix each. And I was like, oh, seems like they got a good player. Guy's borderline Hall of Famer. So when they turn in the card next year and it's an offensive lineman and we're all in this room together, I want us all to collectively stand up and fucking clap. How about that? I don't know if that guy is going to be there, Johnny. That guy's a good center. I don't know if he's going to be. See, I don't like to get myself caught up on names. It's too early, man. You get your hopes up, and then the name goes. It's like it just you know what? Let's see who's on the clock when the Bills pick. How about that? That's a while from now, but let's wait and see. I don't know how much of a cool down I go on, Frank. The only thing that cools me down is the gyms, because I can blow my load there. What's up, Jake? How you doing, bro? That's the only thing I can do, but oh God, what a fucking mess. 1 week relax, next week just misery. 1 week relax, next week absolute misery. And it's just, I swear, Neil, a guy who comes to Neil, I don't know if you're in here right now. It's like You got to consider fucking Spencer Brown's the MVP of the team. Seriously, he might be. I can't trust it not to change, Doug, until it changes. I can't. This is what it is. I can't trust it not to change. I can't trust them not to do this again. I can't not trust them to not do this again or rectify it 1 week and turn shit next. I can't count on that. I never smoke, thank God. Oh God. I just, you know what I just loathe? I loathe this type of loss, and I can remember these type of losses so well. And these type of losses are where an opposing team plays somewhere else that's in a dome or down south. I remember the Dolphins one year came in here, and it was snowing. It was snowing, and I just know Ricky Williams in particular. Ronnie Brown might have been hurt, but he might have played. Don't quote me, but I remember in particular it was Ricky Williams. It was just fucking. He ran wild on the Bills. Jay Ajayi, remember Jay Ajayi? Jay Ajayi ran wild on the Bills. Just those are the types of losses that I have a special type of hatred for. There was another game in 2009. The Saints were at the Bills, and Pierre Thomas was a no-name. They couldn't particularly throw well that day for some reason. Bills were playing scrappy defense. They just started running. And I remember Pierre Thomas got going, and boom, they started hitting the Bills. And I think one of their other running backs that they had, it might have been a young Chris Ivory. They just started going, and they ran for 200 plus and ran away with the game. I think it might have been 27-3 or 27-7, but it was never that close. The score doesn't indicate how close it was. But the McKenzie fumble for me was the death nail of the game. I didn't feel optimistic, but it was the death nail of the game for me. Yeah, that was the Miles Sanders game where, that's why I picked, to be honest with you, that's why I picked the Browns. And you saw the Browns today. They're beat up. Fucking Mayfield is like a mummy out there, right? But they have a highly paid offensive line, a very good offensive line there at home. They got Nick Chubb back, and they rode him. They rode him. And you see their offense. Their offense cannot function without a good running game. It just can't. It's not designed to do it. And Nick Chubb, to me, is one of the top 3, 4, 5 running backs in the league. And, he didn't have as good a day as Taylor did. As that's what makes me even sicker is like the Lions defense was able to put up a better effort against Chubb than the Bills was against Taylor. I think Chubb had 21 carries for 127 or something like that. Terrible. You just can't say that won't happen, Johnny. You just can't say that won't happen because that's the blueprint now. That's the formula. It's the copycat league. The league is going to come out and do that to you, and it's hard to say because this league is crazy. To choose what's going. He had a 5-yard touchdown reception too. Chubb did. He didn't run one and he caught the ball, but still, like he just built. He gets out. His best runs come in the fourth quarter. He was a second-round pick. The best running backs to me were drafted in the second round. The best ones. Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb. Kamara was a third-round pick. Aaron Jones was a fifth-round pick. But some of the best ones were drafted in the second. Not the first. I don't know. I forget when Lamondre Stevenson was drafted, but he's a big physical back. Nothing special about our backs. It's just really disappointing. Moss is a bigger back, but he doesn't have any contact balance. He goes down. The first guy gets to him. He doesn't run through the tackle. The only time he did it was against Miami in week 2, where he broke some tackles, had some angry runs after he fumbled. That was it. Oh, Cook. Cook, Davin Cook, that was the other guy. Second round pick. Best running backs in this league are second round picks. Yeah, I don't think that they were soft front runners. I just think they got in their own head after the Super Bowl losses. It's just I don't know if we have to be more physical, that's for sure. We have to be more physical. I don't mind passing, but we have to be more physical. It's physicality. It's being able to run when you want to run. Look at the Patriots. They played in horrible weather. They played in horrible weather. They put up 59 points on the Titans one year throwing the ball. I think Brady had 6 touchdown passes in that game and like almost 400 yards. It's just being able to run when you need to or when you want to. And the Patriots, that's what made them special is they could do that. They could change that style when they needed to. They could flip that switch. And that's how you get the Jonas Gray game. That's how you get the Brandon Bolden game. That's how you get the LeGarrette Blount game. You get them because you're able to do it because, you know what? We're physical. We run power. You know, that scheme. They run power downhill right at you. Either they hit the hole hard or it's one cut and go. It's none of this dancing shit. None of this jukey juke shit. The athletes on defense are too good now. They're too good. You're not going to get a stiff, big, lumbering, strong safety or, think of a slow, like a Chris Spielman, more of just a downhill tackle or, if you got him in space, you could eat him up. Tough player, but, modern day, it'd be very hard to play that guy 3 downs. It's disgusting. Gronk was like having a 6 offensive lineman on the field. It's the best tight end to ever play the game because of that. Not just his receiving. It wasn't his receiving. He was like having 6 linemen all the time. I don't want to say it's coaching. I just think the players physically got beat today. And there's nothing when you could coach it up as well as you want, but the players got physically beat today on both sides of the ball. Both sides of the ball, particularly obviously on defense, when you give up over 250 yards rushing. And the Bills, as currently constructed, maybe they do on a really good, like a fucking apex day, if Brown is in the lineup, if Feliciano's in the lineup, and maybe Breida breaks a couple of long ones, maybe they have that game in them. But as currently constructed in totality, they don't have that game in them. Winston didn't have to do anything today. Winston didn't have to do shit. He just had to not fuck up. That's all he had to do. Trust me, the Saints are going to ask. They're going to ask Simeon do the same thing. Don't fuck up. And you know what we're going to see? We're going to see Taysom Hill. We're going to see Kamara if he's healthy, and we're going to see Ingram. That's what we're going to see. And they're going to line up and try to move people. Do you think Harry Phillips is not the same? Dude, he's terrible. He's terrible. He's not good. He's not a good player. He's a cuttable player. He's a cuttable player. Cody Ford is a cuttable player. You could cut him, and what would change? What would be worse? Nothing. You would have got the same results today with Eli and Nakanu, like the guy they just signed from the practice squad that they picked up because of Star. That's it. He's not good. Cody Ford is not good. Same players making the same mistakes. You guys watched it. You guys have seen it just as much as I have. It's like on the defensive line. I want to see if Ruseo, Basham, Epinesa, Obata can be an impact player on a consistent basis. Rotation. I know you rotate Oliver. Leave him in there a little more. He's a young dude. Let him go. You want to bring in one of the other big bodies for run fits and stuff, I get it. But you got to let these young horses run and get. It's like granted, those guys were different and they had a great resume. Bruce Smith didn't come off the fucking field. Phil Hansen didn't come off the field. Jeff Wright, when he was there, didn't come off the field. Ted Washington didn't come off the field. Fred Smirlis, when he was there, didn't come off the field. Sometimes it's like good offensive linemen and good defensive linemen are like running backs. The more you feed them, the better they get. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. They need, like, I'm looking at Chris Jones. Chris Jones for the Colts. That guy is a disruptor. He just blows plays up. Bills don't have that yet. We don't know if they have that, but I know that Addison is never going to be that guy. He never was that guy. Hughes maybe was that guy for a second, but he was never truly that guy long term. And he's in the twilight. This is it for him now with the Bills. We need to be finding out about these young guys. Was he ever really good though before then, Johnny? Was he good? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he was any good. He's always been hurt or he's inactive. That's when I notice him, when he's hurt or inactive. I can't recall him making a play in a game. I can't recall it. Is Hughes even on the field? I saw him on the sideline. And you know what? I saw him, and he let Wentz get away with one of those pumps, and then he slowed down his rush, and Wentz was able to throw it away. As if he would have just ran through it, he would have sacked him. Yeah, Jake, that was it. A lot of guys standing around watching. That's perfectly put. Instead of me with this word salad, just a lot of guys, hands on their hips, waiting for somebody else to make a play, and no plays were made. Or when a guy would make a play, they would fuck it up. One guy is gonna get a penalty. That's just the way of it. That was just the way of it. I was watching. It was on Johnny, but I didn't watch. I was watching it out of the corner of my eye, but I'm just here bitching to you guys. Frank. It's just certain guys you could just put on the inactive list and you wouldn't miss them. You wouldn't miss them. And they make dumb mistakes. It's like Mario Addison's a veteran. He's there to be a veteran, not make mistakes, play smart, sound, and he whiffs on a sack and commits a horrible pass, a stupid roughing the passer that extended a drive. Just 15 yards a clip. It's kind of like Poyer coming downhill. I don't know. I think it was Pascal he hit or one of the receivers. They're going to throw that flag because of the sound. They're going to throw a flag off of an aesthetic. It sounded bad. Doesn't necessarily mean it was bad. I think he was a little out of bounds on when he clipped him. But still, the refs are flag happy. You just know it. Don't give them the chance. It wasn't a bang-bang play. He had to think about it. He was already out of bounds, so he just got frustrated and hit him. So 17 yards turns into 32 yards. A sack, getting off the field, 15 yards, free play, first down. I don't know about dude. You can't think about that now. He's in Cleveland and he's been signed to a contract extension. It's like, just go find another one. You proved you could find one. Go find another one. That's all I'm gonna say. Bills drafted 2 offensive linemen in this draft you know what? No, they didn't. We forget. We're forgetting something, right? Brandon Beane saw this coming. We drafted 3 offensive linemen in this draft. We drafted 2 defensive linemen and 3 offensive linemen. We forget about Jack Anderson. He was picked up off the Bills practice squad. He's in Philly now. I don't know how much he plays or doesn't play, but he's there. And they did it for a reason. You got to wonder if he wouldn't be on the 53 right now for the Bills, especially if they had hindsight and seen what was coming. Or they just assumed, remember Junior Little Richie because of the tattoos and the look? You have to sign him to the 53. And they didn't sign him to the 53, and Philly gave him the shot, and he went to Philly. Everybody on your practice squad's a free agent. Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. Anybody can sign anybody off anybody's practice squad. A lot of that was on the 28-yarder, but still, like, you got to give him a chance. You got to give him more chances to get those. He's got to have more than 5 carries. You got to get him. You got to get that guy now, honestly. You got to get that guy between 10 and 15 touches a game, and you got to get McKenzie you got to get McKenzie about 3 to 5 touches a game too on offense. Those guys stretch you vertically, they stretch you horizontally, and those you got to use them. You got to use them. Otherwise, you're not maximizing your assets. You're just being stupid and stubborn. You get no chance to add any variety to the offense without guys like that. That's what the fucking Chiefs do it all the time. All that eye candy, that Hardman, and a lot of it's just to look at, to make the defense just take an extra second of hesitation or one step in the wrong. That's all it is. That's why it's a misdirection. Just take one step in the wrong place and you're toast. Guys like that will give you that opportunity. He's got to be, Johnny. Moss just looks like he's running in quicksand. I don't know. He's not running confidently. Even Singletary. Singletary had 3 carries. What do you have? 3 carries today. It looks like he had 7.5 yards, but it doesn't matter. He's got 5 fumbles. Has not lost one. Amazing. Like last week, he just fumbled the ball on a toss snap. Breida fumbled last week, so he's got to clean that up too. But he didn't fumble this week. He needs to play. I'm just saying, Antonio Williams should. I would put those 2 guys on the inactive list. One of them should be on the inactive list this week because they're not good enough to merit touches. They're not good enough. And that little guy Harris, who returns kicks for the Saints, is good. So they're going to need their special teams to be exceptional. So Kumaro should be up this week. Having 5 running backs is a luxury. If Antonio Williams shows something, I'm in practice. I'm playing that son of a bitch. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. It's just disgusting to sit here, and have them ruin your week like this. He hasn't had a lot of things, dude. He's had an okay line, not a great line, and he's never had. I sound like a broken record. He's never had this caliber of run game, and he's never had this game. Like occasionally, good passing teams, you can get out and just run the ball a little bit. They just don't have that. They just don't have it. They don't have that game because their personnel's not capable of it. And that's what's the most frustrating part about it is their personnel just doesn't, I'd like to see what they could do with Brown and Feliciano in the lineup. They could get better. They could diversify. They can do more things. But the running backs don't have the ability that those other guys have that we've seen. They don't have the ability. Long term, they have to get better there. But right now, you could put Breida, you could put Williams on the field and see what happens. They're floundering right now. They're just keeping their head above water. Not good enough. It's not. There's no expertise needed. They got whipped physically. They just got man on man moved. That's it. It just, there was a few. Colts ran a few gimmick misdirections. They gained some yards on. Excellent on first down. They were excellent on first down. They did their gains on first down were like 6+ yards easily. What? It could be, with 7. I don't know. I can't count on them winning another game playing like this. Nothing's guaranteed now. I don't want to say what they are or not because the rest of the league is inconsistent. The rest of the league is pulling this bullshit. So I don't want to say what they are or aren't. There's no, magic bullet is be more physical, play with more pride. Don't get moved off the ball so easily. The talent in this league isn't that vastly different team to team that you just get moved. That's just your dick. You're just letting somebody take your manhood from you. That's what it is. Ugh, I don't even want to think about that yet, dude. At least, I don't know if you guys have late dinners or early dinners. I'm an early dinner kind of guy. I will have eaten already. I will be digested, and so hopefully I won't throw up on Thursday night. Seriously. Some people were saying it was a weird game. I was like, no, they just got outdone. Yeah, that's what it wasn't X's and O's. What is this saying? X's and O's, it's Jimmy's and Joe's. That's what it is. Their Jimmy was better than our Joe, or their Joe was better than our Jimmy. That's it. It's that simple. Corny cliches, but cliches are cliches because they're true. And a lot of the way the league is now with the analytics and the talking heads and all this next gen stuff, it's like, look, it's just man on man movement. That's all it is. Just blow guys off the ball, control the line, don't get moved off the ball so easily. That's it. That's it. What's a next gen stat for an offensive lineman up? Is it still a pancake? That's it. Come on. We bought way too much into last season. Let's not forget we were very lucky last year. No breaks. Also, well, apparently, the Bills got to do that. You know what? They got to get their head out of their ass because this isn't last year, Dave. This isn't last year, but they're playing like it. They're thinking that because they came out of a bad game off a bye, and we thought that was going to be like they're going to run the gauntlet now. They're going to rattle some wins off. Nope, they shit the bed. Two epic times coming out of their bye, early bye too. No, no, no. 7 games, a little over half, a little less than an old half a season. No excuses now. Colts remind me of, let's say, the Giants. You want to say the '80s Giants, yeah, but the '90s Giants, no, not so much, because Sims was old and he was gone after 2000, and Dave Brown and Kent Graham were shit, and Rodney Hampton had like 2 good years, but you know Jonathan Taylor's a young stud, big running back. He's definitely better than Hampton was, and any other guys they had. Even Dane, he had 1 good year, but I mean, look at a guy who's like immobile, had a good solid offensive line. They leaned on a running game. I'm not saying the Bills need to turn into that, but Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls. He made some good throws in those Super Bowls, epic throws. But they had a running game. They had special running backs. They had a solid offensive line. They got after the quarterback, and they slayed the dragon twice. What's changed in 10 years? Nothing. It'll never change. It'll never change. That's the thing about football that will never change. I wouldn't say 10 deep. I think they go Chris Reed's a good backup lineman. I say they go maybe 7, but that's good. Better than the Bills. The Bills go 2.5 deep. That's it. 2.5 deep because Dawkins has regressed. He's not playing well. He's inconsistent. Morse has been their best O lineman out of the established group, but their best O lineman has been Spencer Brown by a mile. And Feliciano has been inconsistent, but he's a hell of a lot better than Cody Ford. A hell of a lot better. So I don't know what else to say, guys. I'm just beating around the bush right now. I'm just talking in circles. This is just disgusting. It's just a disgusting, and they had to prop him up. He doesn't have to do anything special on that team. Is he capable of special plays? Yes, he made a few today, but he doesn't have to carry the team. He doesn't. He's not that kind of quarterback. He if he has a dud, they can support it, with a run game, with an offensive line. The Bills, they don't have that. They don't have the support of a consistent offensive line and run game. They just don't do it. If Josh Allen falters, that's them done. That's it. They have no safety net. None. All right, Tom. See you guys. Love you all. Johnny, you blew up the room today. Tom, I didn't break anything, but I felt like it. Dave, Damager, always great. Didn't get any trolls. A couple of comments from the outsiders, but we're respectful, so I'll take it. Jake, I'll talk to you later. Trevor, thanks. Eric, you were at the game. You got to sit through that terrible bullshit. Disgusting. Thank everybody who came in. It's just a real disappointing watch today. Just disappointing, demoralizing, just a very lackadaisical. You don't call it an effort, just a no show. Just a no show today. All right, guys, have a great. Try to have an okay holiday week if you're traveling. Be safe and try to enjoy yourself a little bit till Thursday night around this time. We'll see what happens, but go Bills. Love you all. Peace. Oh, fuck, that sucked. That really fucking sucked.